Introducing the Mr. Good Media. Put in the effort. Go the distance. The lend a hand man with a plan. Your host for the evening, John Clay. Let us explore the vastness of the internet, looking for information on anything from complex situations to fun facts. Ladies and gentlemen, turn up your sound and dive with us down the rabbit hole.
And good morning. How's everybody doing this Saturday? Feel free to reach out to me. We are streaming. Things are going. It says it's sending data to Twitch, but everything else is online. Chat's going. Anybody that's watching. So feel free to tune in. I hope everybody's having a good Saturday morning. Doing well. Make the most of it. So I'm doing my max effort people part 3. We're going to cover 4 people today that I really feel have not only done great things for themselves, but have motivated tons and tons of people. So yeah, I'm just going to talk about it, see what comes up. If you have any questions or you want to direct it anything, or you have anything that you would like to talk about this morning, we'll get around to it. Feel free to type in Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Mixer. I'll receive your message no matter where from. If you see me looking over to the right, that's because I have a nice little message screen for anybody that hasn't watched before that will pop up those messages. So if someone's watching, then I can talk to you and you can ask questions. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's good morning, Saturday, 7:30. I was running a little bit late. Sorry about that, guys. You know, kind of wanted to sleep in, relax a bit. So, David, if you find this, hope you're watching. Alexis, Snap. Who's Snap? Snap? You want me to snap? I snapped. Did you? Hello, Alexis. You watching on Periscope? Snap. I snap. So, let's get to it. So, one of the people... no, I do not. I do not Snapchat. But, yeah, so I do Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, yeah, all the main ones. Yes, Instagram. That is true. I am on Instagram. So is Sabrina. We're together, of course. So, let's go to this. So the first person who I wanted to talk about was Tony Robbins. I think I said the other morning that I've watched motivational videos for like the past 5 years. The Instagram is progress not perfection .2017. So here, I'll show you. Bam. Oh, you can't see it yet. It'll probably help if I switch to there. So that's our Instagram. Feel free to follow us. We don't have a whole lot on there right now, but we'll get there. So, trying to help people. Please share. Love you. Okay. So, let's go to it. Like I said, I love talking about Tony Robbins. You know, I don't think a lot of people know this about him, but his mom wanted him to be a truck driver. And he was like, not doing it. You know, and good thing he didn't. I mean, the guy's worth quite a bit of money and he's helped thousands and thousands of people. So when people are doubting you in your dreams, I love looking at people like Tony Robbins, because people are going to be like, oh, well, go for what's comfortable. What's going to work for you, or what works for them, right? For the other people in your life. But sometimes I say you got to go crazy and you got to bet on yourself and risk it. And I really feel like Tony Robbins is an example of that. He, you know, started finding people, mentors that he could look up to that would help him become the speaker he is today. And every time I turn around, anybody that's gone to one of his events, which I hope to someday, talk about how life changing it is. They talk about the firewalk, and the projects that he has people do. And he's helped lots of people, I mean, that are struggling with depression. And that comes from a wide variety of just your normal, everyday average Joe to your celebrities. You know, there's many stories where he goes into these people that, uh, it looks like they have everything, but they don't in their head. They have this idea of what their life should look like, and it's not achieved for them, even though they appear to have all this stuff. And he goes, well, change your perspective. And so when we look at perspective, he talks about standards, right? We don't get what we should have, we get what we must have. Like, you set that standard and that is your baseline. You have to make the best of your situation. And that means setting certain standards for your life. Yes. Thank you, David. I hope you're watching. Love you, brother. So standards are important. I even yesterday had a conflict where I tried to help someone who I considered a long-term friend and everything, and he just wasn't doing the right things. He was making mistakes, caught him in some lies, and I was like, no, I can't have that standard in my life anymore. Like that's not going to be acceptable for me. You know, allowing good people, good circumstances, saying that you deserve those, setting that as your standard for your life is very important. And I think he exhibits that. Yeah, so Tony Robbins is all about those standards, and I think that's a good place to start. The next person who I want to talk about is Les Brown. Les Brown, I'm not sure if anybody's ever really heard his story, but he was labeled as mentally retarded as a young kid. He even goes into stories about how he was the DT, the dumb twin, and that had affected him. But luckily, a teacher who he'd had this conversation with about how his nickname was DT, the dumb twin, this teacher had told him, no, don't let someone's opinion be your story. You know, people are going to have opinions of you. People are going to judge you no matter what. Like, you can't help it. People are like, oh, don't judge me. We judge. So it's up to you as an individual to understand that those judgments don't have to be your life. People can think of you what they want, but it's up to you to live what you feel is your fullest life. And that comes in many different packages. We all start with our own story, and that's important to realize. You know, we all have our own backgrounds, and people can be like, oh, you started here, you started there. I was a drug addict. I had issues. I did gang-related activities. But then, luckily, Travis County had a rehab program and helped me turn my life around. And I wanted it. I wanted to get on my feet. And I had just been set with a set of circumstances that led me down the wrong path. And so, luckily, you know, even as people were judging me, I did have the support of my family and various friends to deal with what I was going through. And it's a struggle for me. I mean, I really suffer from anxiety at times. A lot of times, most of the time, especially right now with some of the stuff we've been going through, my anxiety's been through the roof, which affects how I'm functioning. And it's up to me to realize what habits I need to do to put into place to bring myself back to center, right? I need to center myself through my meditation, through my yoga, through my workouts. Those things are important. And just because you're at a certain place right now doesn't mean you're going to be there in a year from now, 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 10 years from now. It's up to you to decide and direct that course that you want to take. It's your life, and you can flip that script at any point in time to be what you need to make it. I'm realizing that now more than ever. I'm in a position where I've been doing physical therapy for the past 7 years, and because of changes in Medicare law, I don't receive the amount of patients that I used to receive, and I'm not receiving the same amount of income that I used to receive. And so I have to realize, like, what do I have to do? Well, I kind of have to jump ship from therapy. There's no way I can keep doing it. And it's scary. I'm very uncomfortable for me to say I'm going to leave this field that I've been doing for really a decade, if you include my school. And so very nerve wracking. But you have to believe in yourself. If you don't have that belief in yourself, you're never going to improve your circumstances. And, Les Brown, as he goes through his life, one of the things he wanted to do was be a DJ. And they told him no. They were like, oh, no, we're not going to hire you. And he kept showing up day in and day in and day in. And they finally gave him a job at the radio station. And he was kind of like a driver and everything. Just a go-to guy to handle day-to-day activities within the radio station. And one day, one of the DJs wasn't able to perform his job correctly, as he had gotten drunk on the job, as I recollect. And Les Brown's like, I'm in. He took it as an opportunity to pursue that in being a DJ. And that after they had told him no. And that was just one circumstance where he's like, I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to put in the effort, and I'm going to keep showing up to make my dream happen. And he did. And then he went on to become a state representative, I want to say for Ohio. And, he talks about how the person who he's running against, the incumbent, things weren't looking good for him. And he decided to pay for an ad. And he thought to himself, you know what? I'm going to get my mom on. Really his adopted mom. She had taken him in along with a few other kids. And she goes on there and she talks about, vote for Les Brown. He's a good boy. I spanked his rear when he was a kid. And I think that's just so funny and amazing that he thought, hey, who better to represent me than my mom? That's really the beauty of it is, you're allowing your family to come in and say, you know what, he can do it. And because he'd shown against all odds, he had believed in himself, became a radio host, and then was running a state rep. And now he's one of the most popular motivational speakers that I know of. And I love listening to him. He's really helped me change my life as far as just learning to not let what others think of me dictate how I feel about myself. The next person who I want to talk about is a lady, Mel Robbins. I'm not sure if you've ever listened to her speak. She's absolutely amazing, and she talks about how she was at this job, and it wasn't fulfilling. She wasn't happy, and she's like, I'm gonna bet on myself. But she was having a hard time with the actions, and she goes into what she calls the 5-second rule. She did a 5-second countdown. So she'd be in this position, she wouldn't want to get out of bed, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna pretend I'm like a rocket getting ready for launch, right? And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam, she's up. She's like, it just triggered something in my head. And I think that's a good indicator of how we can use little tips or little tricks to get our brain to redirect itself for positive behavior. You know, I look at this concept that I've kind of been thinking of recently. I call it cognitive reformatting, because a lot of times we have issues redirecting our thoughts, or we'll be like, oh, I'm down, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, or I'm not that, I can't do it, I don't have the time. And yes, Mel Robbins. It is Mel Robbins. What did I do, David? Did I do something wrong? You're telling me Mel Robbins. Did I say something? Yeah, we'll see. So, yeah, faith. And it even goes right here at age 41. See, y'all got me off track, David. Love you, brother. But again, going back to that cognitive reformatting is just like being like, oh, I can get over this, because we've got getting out of a cycle, right? Because we're habitual people, and learning how to break those habits and reformat it to where we believe in ourselves and start taking those actions to do it. I think her little 5-second trick was, oh, thank you, brother. You are absolutely amazing. I love the support of my friends. Y'all, I have such amazing people in my life. God bless y'all. Now, at age 41, life was a mess. I was unemployed, facing bankruptcy, marriage spiraling, confidence shot, hitting the bottle hard. I struggled. That's at age 41. That's easily a good half of a lifetime that she was just not where she wanted to be. And since then, she's been able to turn around, do so much more with her life. I was actually watching a video of her the other day where she was jumping off this ship into the ocean, and she talks about how she was so scared of doing it. And this is age 51, and this is a very motivational lady that believes in herself, and she's still facing these fears at this age, but she realizes, you know what? I can do it. And if you go to her Instagram, she shows this video of her jumping off this boat, and it's a pretty high jump. And I'm not sure if anybody's ever done any cliff diving or high diving, anything like that, but it's scary stuff. I love cliff diving, but I'm not gonna lie, I start shaking a little bit, but then I'm like, I gotta change it. Can't let it beat me. That's just one of the things I have to do to get myself straight. So, the last person who I wanted to speak about was J.K. Rowling. Okay. So, J.K. Rowling, of course, super famous Harry Potter lady, amazing. I'm not sure how many people have heard her story about trying to get her book published, but she went through a bunch of publishers where they turned her down. They were like, this book's not going to work. I want to say it was like triple digits if I remember correctly. And so when you look at that, and think, oh man, she was shot down all those times, all those people judging her, not believing in her. She could have given up. But she didn't, and like I said, that's someone else's judgment. And look at her now. And then not only to do what she did as far as getting her book established and becoming this super rich author, she's also turned around and donated a lot of that money to helping people, growing teens and charities. Most children these days don't want to read. Creates a strong role model for women and shares an imagination. I don't know where it talks about the charity work. I have to look her up. But I know she has donated a bunch of the money that she makes, which I love, just because I think so many people are so obsessed with money and trying to hold on to it that they realize what the true value is, right? Money is really a reflection of someone's time and effort, right? And we don't get, when you're super rich, you don't necessarily get that money. You're not getting that money on your own, right? You require a base of individuals working with you and for you to create this bigger picture. And so you have to realize the biggest commodity is people at the end of the day. Sharing love to other individuals. And that's one reason I wanted to create this, is because, I recognize with my story where I came from, you know, at one point in my life, I was looking at 20 years in prison. And, you know, I just happened to get lucky and get into a rehab program offered through Travis County and got onto my feet. And I look at that and I go, well, I'm not that special. I just realized my face is really white on this image today. So anybody watching, sorry if I look like Casper. Um, but back to my story. Uh, sorry, I went off track. Anybody watching, don't judge me. Whatever. Well, you can. Good luck to you. But when you think about, I was just fortunate, right? I was just fortunate that I was given an opportunity, that I had people willing to believe in me and take the opportunity to invest in me, to allow me to kind of reformat my thought process of what I could do and what I was capable of, because a lot of it was a lack of belief in myself. And so learning to one, start believing in yourself, learning how to take steps, learning how to work with others, and talk, communication. I think they're taken for granted. A lot of people, I don't feel, are given that from an early age, and it can be extremely hard in this day and age where you see, oh, that person's got this or this person's got that, and you start comparing yourself, and you're like, well, if you started off poor, your family you were born into this circumstance you had no control over, but you're looking at this other person, it's real easy to go, I just didn't win the lottery, so I say be accountable. That's the first start, is be accountable. Find the people that are willing to help you grow and learn from them. Implement those tips and tricks that they've done to get there. And that goes to anybody that's watching this. If anybody ever wants help with anything as far as like trying to develop better habits for their life, I'll be glad to talk to you. I'm not going to say I'm perfect, so please don't look at me like some guru, but I do, coming from where I came from to where I am now is a vast difference as far as the person I was. And, I love having these conversations about self-improvement. I can't get enough of them, to be honest. Like, I just want to watch the world get better. And if I can help be an instrument in that process, then, man, I'm ecstatic. And the reason I really did this max effort people segment is because I look at what we ingest, right? What are we looking at on a day-to-day basis? That's going to affect you. So I'm trying to give people positive role models, because might not necessarily have those in your life. You might not have an individual that you can look to and be like, man, he's really turned his life around. I had family and friends that turned their life around, but none of them were at the level that, once I started trying to make that change, none of them were at that level that I saw myself trying to go to. And so I had to find people and be willing to watch them, say, I'm not going to be stupid, or I accept the fact that I'm stupid, and learn from those that have been there and done that. And so I don't have to continue making those mistakes. So if you watched any of this series, I'd recommend looking further into the individuals that I talked about. I think they set a really good foundation for people to pay attention to and watch, so that you can realize that you don't have to be confined to your current circumstances, that you can break free of whatever you feel is holding you back, set new standards for yourself, believe in yourself. Don't let some other person's judgment dictate your life, and work your rear off. Make it happen. Um, that is what I'm trying to do, and I hope that others can benefit from that thought process or mentality. If anybody's watching or has any questions, feel free to reach out and ask. You can always reach us on any of our social medias, and I'd love to talk to you more. The other thing I would say is anybody has any current events that they'd be interested in discussing, feel free to do so. I got a few more minutes from when my timer started. I try to do 30-minute segments. So if someone has an idea of what to talk about, if there's anything in the news that we feel like we need to know about at this time, reach out to me. Let's discuss it. Otherwise, I'll go into it. Let's see, what's a current event going on? Current events today. You know, I saw something. I'm not sure if anybody knows who Tulsi Gabbard is. She's a presidential candidate. Definitely not a front runner. I mean, we know who our front runners are between Biden and Sanders. But Tulsi Gabbard had actually posted that South Korea has a very fast and effective way to test for the coronavirus, and wondering why we haven't imported that in to the United States, which I'm curious about. I have such a hard time following other media sources because I don't necessarily know who to believe. I mean, it's very one side to the other, and because of that, it makes it difficult for me as I consider myself a pragmatic person to be like, well, who's actually right? Who's actually telling the truth here in these circumstances? That I find really disheartening in our society, that it's like, oh, team blue, team red. I wish we were on team people, I guess. You know, it wasn't so trying to get, I don't know, childish would be the word. You know, like, why aren't we all trying to create a community to work together? Community is such a big deal. I really, like I said, people are the most valuable asset. You know, without one another, we can't go through life. So, you know, just take that into heart. Try to think about what you're ingesting as far as what you're hearing and how you process it. I don't know. I just hope that this all works out and we don't end up with the coronavirus. And if we do, give me a corona before I go, just for the irony of it. Yeah. David Mills, who coronavirus situation reports. David, you are absolutely amazing. I cannot speak highly enough. I'm so glad you're on here participating. Great global source for coronavirus. So, yeah. Canceled South by Southwest, which was an awesome night. I'm not too disappointed about it. I've never been. So, you know what? We'll cover that more on Monday. I will save that link into a document, but I am actually at the end of my show. Thanks for everybody that participated and watched. Love y'all, folks. Y'all have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday morning, okay? Bye-bye. Oh, actually, let me show this. I need to get better. Sorry, you're going to watch this. Better habits for me. Hey, if anybody, I'm not going to lie, we have been struggling. So if anybody needs personal training or customized apparel in like the North Austin, Round Rock, Pflugerville, Cedar Park area, feel free to hit me up. I'd love to help you out with whatever your needs are. Other than that, like I said, bye-bye.